Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. Today I'm discussing The Long Good Friday, a film the Criterion Collection released in 4K and Blu-ray. The 1980 British crime thriller classic starring Bob Hoskins and Helen Mirren. This one's pretty good, and if you're familiar with movies like Goodfellas, The Godfather, you might find this to be something you really enjoy, maybe not quite as much as those films. If you're a Bob Hoskins fan like I am, this is an absolute must-see. This is a tremendous performance from him. So Bob Hoskins is a gangster, and he's trying to get this American group to work with him on a business venture. The problem is, in the course of doing this, a lot of things happen in his little gangster enterprise, and they aren't too pretty. And the violence in this movie, there's a lot of blood, some disturbing scenes. There is a very effective shot with some meat hook stuff. It might remind you of a scene in Goodfellas, but I even actually like that part better than the scene I'm thinking of in Goodfellas, as much as I love Goodfellas. And Bob Hoskins brings a nuanced performance to us here. I'm a huge fan of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That is one of the films that, when I was a little kid, got me into movies long term. And Bob Hoskins in that movie proved to me that he is an all-time great actor who I felt like could have been utilized more. And in this movie, he has a little bit of a kind of an unappealing role he has to play, because he's not the toughest, best gangster. He's not the most charismatic one. He's not cool in a suit like Rob De Niro, but he's not particularly mild-mannered and approachable like the Corleone family was. And so this is not an overly attractive gangster that the viewer gets to see. This isn't someone who kind of draws you in with his personality. He's bullish, he's annoying, he's frustrating, he's arrogant at times, and he's kind of honest to the way I think this character would play out in real life, but at the same time, he's pretty likable because it's hard not to like Bob Hoskins. And he's funny in the most minimal ways at the right times. I think the script gets a little something extra out of his performance, especially in some of the shots at the end that you see. Might remind you of some of the best acting you've seen out of, I was thinking of a few moments with Harry Dean Stanton that just really good acting. Helen Mirren gets a little bit of a boost from him in this, and he gets a boost from her as well. At first, I thought she might just play like the sidekick, but she ends up having a pretty big role in the film, and her acting is on full display there. I think you're going to love her in this. She has a few different roles she has to play sort of behind the scenes while he's doing the flashier stuff. And I appreciated her character as much as his. As far as the way the presentation and so forth looks, the audio, I found it to look pretty incredible. Maybe not like as much as I like something like the 4K Walkabout or the 4K Double Indemnity or a few others, but I mean, it looks pretty good. It sounds good. The soundtrack is unique, and it is very much of the time period, but beyond it. It kind of creates a mythical world of its own. I haven't been able to figure out how I feel about the soundtrack, to be honest, now that I'm talking about it. On one hand, I really got into it, and then sometimes I would listen to it and it felt juvenile or something, and maybe that's part of the point, because Bob Hoskins acts like a little kid when he doesn't get his way in this, and I love that about the character. It's one of those movies that right now I'm going to put down a score of maybe 4 out of 5. I don't think scores mean that much when it comes to evaluating movies, but I wouldn't doubt if this ended up being like one of my favorite classics that I watch every so often. I did read through the essay that the Criterion Collection included, and the best parts of the essay were some of its pieces of social commentary, which I won't discuss here because it'll end up spoiling some of what goes on with the plot, but this essay is great in here, and I hope to check out more of the special features later on. So this is just a tremendous film. I could see this being some people's favorite film in the genre, or one of their favorite films in the genre. So Yeah, definitely pick it up, especially if you can get a copy on one of the Criterion website sales or Barnes & Noble sales. If you enjoyed the content today, if you could do me a favor and click that like button, that really helps grow the channel. And if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share about the film, Bob Hoskins or Helen Mirren, or gangster films in general, maybe you have a recommendation for me, I would love for you to do that as well. All those things help me to build the channel. And so I appreciate every time I see your comments. I try to get to those right away. But that's all I have for this time, and we'll see you next time on Cody in the Cinema.